Lust never knocks with chains in its hands. It comes with perfume. It comes with light that flickers like gold in the distance. It comes whispering the oldest lie in human history. This will make you whole. But what it offers is not wholeness. It's a counterfeit paradise. A mirage so convincing that you will crawl across burning sand just to touch it, only to find your hands grasping dust. And yet, you return, again and again, not because it ever satisfied you, but because it taught you to crave the very thing that empties you. Some call it weakness. Others call it addiction. The truth, it is war. A war not fought on battlefields of steel and fire, but in the quiet corridors of your own mind, where the enemy dresses temptation as beauty and chains as freedom. And here is the question that will decide your future. How many more times will you trade the eternal for the momentary? How much longer will you accept a feast of lies when a banquet of truth waits for you? This is not about guilt. It is about awakening. Because once you see lust for what it truly is, its false promises will never hold you again. The voice in the shadows, recognizing the subtle whisper, the bait, the hook and the hidden chains. Lust rarely storms the gates of your life with force. It slips in quietly, clothed in charm, wearing the mask of desire. It is not the roaring lion you expect. It is the whisper in the shadows that knows exactly which words will make your guard fall. It studies you. It learns your patterns, your loneliness, your longings, and then shapes the perfect bait. This bait is never ugly. If it were, you would reject it instantly. No, its first move is beauty, allure, and the promise of satisfaction without consequence. It might appear as a passing thought and image, a memory that rises uninvited. It doesn't demand at first. It suggests, just look once, just imagine for a moment, just taste a little. This is the whisper, gentle enough to be mistaken for your own mind, persuasive enough to feel harmless. But every whisper has a hook. The hook is hidden under pleasure, buried where you cannot see it until it pierces deep. The moment you take the bait, it sets itself in you. That's when you realize it was never offering freedom. It was offering a transaction, pleasure in exchange for control. The hook pulls you into cycles. It convinces you that you can stop any time, that you're still the master. But the more you obey it, the more your will bends. And this is where the chains begin to form. Not heavy iron at first, but threads, invisible, almost weightless. Yet every small compromise weaves another strand. Over time, those threads become cords, and the cords become chains so strong you start to believe breaking free is impossible. The tragedy is that most people never notice when the shift happens. They remember the bait, the beauty, the rush, but ignore the hook that's still lodged in their soul. They forget that the whisper never came alone. It came carrying an agenda. Lust doesn't just want your body. It wants your attention, your focus, your imagination, your time. It wants you so consumed by chasing it that you neglect the life you were meant to live. Recognizing this pattern is the first step to freedom. You must train yourself to hear the whisper for what it is. Not a harmless suggestion, but a lure designed to lead you away from your strength. You must see the bait and remember the hook. You must learn to detect the first thread of the chain before it becomes a shackle. Because once you understand the voice in the shadows, its power begins to break. It loses its disguise. And when temptation is exposed for what it truly is, it no longer speaks to you as a friend. It's unmasked as the thief it always was. That clarity is where the fight turns. That awareness is where the chains begin to weaken. 2. The ancient war over desire. How spiritual beings weaponize cravings and fight for your imagination. In every human heart there is a battlefield. It is not one we can see with our eyes, but it is the most critical war you will ever fight. This is the ancient war over desire. An unseen war between spiritual forces that use your cravings as weapons to capture your imagination, and ultimately your soul. The battle begins long before you ever act on temptation. It starts the moment desire awakens within you, and it is no accident. Every craving, every urge, every fleeting thought of longing is more than just a product of your biology or environment. It is the work of spiritual forces, ancient and unyielding, attempting to control what you see, what you feel, and what you think. These forces don't simply want to tempt you with a fleeting pleasure. They aim to shape your very desires so that your will becomes their tool. The enemy knows that to control a person, they must first control their imagination. Imagination is the lens through which we view the world. And once the enemy corrupts this lens, they can warp how we perceive everything. Lust, for example, doesn't simply offer temporary satisfaction. It offers an image, a vision of perfection, an ideal that seems just out of reach, but so close you can almost touch it. It makes you believe that if you just give in this once, you will experience fulfillment, peace, or euphoria. The promise is never delivered, yet the desire grows stronger. Spiritual beings, whether angels or demons, have long understood this power of the imagination. They know that if they can plant the seed of a craving in your mind, they can nurture it into a full-blown obsession. Once they control your desires, they control your actions. Lust, greed, and envy are not simply emotions. They are spiritual forces, powerful entities that seek to enslave you by the very things that seem to promise freedom. This battle is not a single isolated event. It is ongoing. Every moment you spend thinking about desires that cannot truly satisfy you, you are feeding the fire of this war. Every time you entertain thoughts of lust, you are participating in a spiritual exchange. You are giving ground to a force that is pulling you away from your true calling and your true nature. The ancient war over desire is not just about choosing between right and wrong. It is about choosing what you are going to feed your higher self or the darker cravings that seek to pull you down. Imagine your mind and spirit as a field, fertile soil where seeds are planted every day. The question is, what seeds are you allowing to grow? Every thought, every image, every desire is a seed, and spiritual beings, both good and bad, are constantly sowing in this soil. It's crucial to understand that the fight over your desires is not just about resisting temptation in the moment. It is about taking control of your mind and what it dwells on. The more you focus on higher, purer things, love, kindness, truth, the more your desires will shift in that direction. But if you continue to entertain the empty promises of fleeting pleasures, your imagination will be warped and those cravings will begin to define you. In the ancient war over desire, there is no neutral ground. You are either allowing spiritual forces to shape your cravings for their own ends, or you are fighting back, consciously choosing to reclaim your mind and soul. 3. The mirage of satisfaction. Why lust never delivers, and how every compromise binds the soul tight. Lust's promise is always wrapped in a shimmering, illusory package. It seduces you with the idea that satisfaction is just a moment away, that a single indulgence will finally release you from the hunger you feel deep inside. But what happens once you partake? Does it satisfy you as it promised, or does it leave you emptier than before, craving more, seeking new ways to fill the void? Lust never delivers what it advertises. It cannot. The very nature of lust is to keep you wanting, to keep you chasing something that is forever out of reach. It hooks you with temporary pleasure, a fleeting sensation that sparks an illusion of contentment. But when the moment passes, you're left with a deeper sense of dissatisfaction. This is the cruel trick it plays. Just when you think you have grasped fulfillment, you realize it slips through your fingers like sand, and yet the craving grows. It's a lie designed to keep you trapped in an endless cycle, where the momentary high is followed by an even deeper low. The very act of giving in to lust only binds you tighter to its false promises. Each compromise makes the chains heavier. Each indulgence makes the pull stronger. You are not freed by indulgence. You are enslaved by it. Every time you give in, you strengthen the grip lust has on your soul. Lust promises freedom, but it delivers bondage. It is a trap disguised as a key to liberation, and this is why it is so dangerous. It does not just satisfy your body in the moment. It steals something far more valuable, your sense of self-control, your dignity, and your connection to your higher purpose. It distorts your true nature, warping it into something driven only by impulses and fleeting desires. The moment you give in, a subtle shift occurs. A new voice begins to whisper in your ear, telling you that the next time will be better, that the next indulgence will bring more satisfaction. You begin to believe that the way to quell your hunger is through the very thing that keeps you starving. And so the cycle deepens. This is why lust is not simply a temptation. It is a process of binding, a spiritual transaction, where you lose part of yourself with each compromise. Your soul begins to bend, to warp under the weight of these false promises. The more you give in, the more it takes from you until you are no longer the person you once were, and the cravings that once seemed so distant become the only thing that matters. The cycle of lust is not just about physical acts. It's a deep spiritual erosion that chips away at your integrity, your sense of identity, and your connection to what is truly meaningful in life. The lust that promises joy only brings shame and emptiness. But here lies the power of awakening. Once you realize that lust is a mirage, an endless pursuit of something that will never truly satisfy, you can begin to break the chain. The power to reclaim your life does not lie in resisting the craving itself, but in recognizing it for what it is. An illusion, a lie that promises you freedom, but leaves you enslaved. The battle for your desires is not one fought in a moment of indulgence. It is one fought in your mind, where you choose to see beyond the lie and embrace the truth. True satisfaction does not come from giving in to the fleeting pleasure of lust. It comes from aligning your desires with something greater, something that will fulfill you completely and forever. Only when you stop chasing the mirage will you finally find the oasis that will truly quench your thirst. 4. The battlefield of the mind, where temptation is won or lost before you act. The mind is the most critical battlefield in the war over lust. Before the first act of indulgence, before the temptation becomes a physical reality, there is a quiet war being waged within the confines of your own thoughts. It is here in the silence of your inner world that the battle for your desires is fought and won or lost. Temptation does not first manifest in your body. It begins with a thought, an image, a passing desire. The mind is the place where it all starts, and this is why it is so crucial to guard what enters your thought. Temptation works by planting seeds in your mind, thoughts that begin innocently enough, but gradually grow into obsessive cravings. The enemy understands that if they can capture your mind, they can control your action. This is why the war over lust isn't about the temptation itself, but about how you respond to it in your mind. Consider the moment a lustful thought enters your mind. At that instant, you have a choice to entertain it or to reject it. If you entertain it, if you allow it to grow, you will find yourself spiraling deeper into its grip. That thought will begin to evolve, painting a picture of satisfaction, of fulfillment, of an imagined pleasure that promises to quiet the hunger you feel. The more you feed the thought, the stronger it becomes, until it clouds your judgment and drowns out any voice of reason or truth. But if you reject the thought, if you recognize it for what it is, an enemy trying to take ground in your mind, you disarm it. The mind is a powerful fortress, and the thoughts you allow to dwell there shape your reality. The more you entertain temptation in your mind, the more you open the gates to your soul. The more you reject it, the stronger you become, for you begin to fortify your thoughts against the onslaught of cravings and desires that come to challenge your peace. In this battle, it is not enough to simply resist one. Temptation will return, knocking again and again at the door of your mind. This is why it is essential to train your thoughts, to develop the mental fortitude to recognize lust for what it truly is, an insatiable hunger that will never be satisfied, a mirage that only serves to pull you further from your true self. When you learn to recognize the pattern of temptation before it fully manifests, you gain the upper hand in this war. The key to winning this battle lies in what you choose to focus on. Your mind cannot remain empty. It will be filled with something, either with the lies of lust or with the truths that lead to true fulfillment. When you replace the lustful thoughts with higher, purer desires, you begin to rewire your mind. You begin to condition it to seek the things that truly nourish you: love, peace, integrity, purpose. When you fill your mind with these things, the lies of lust lose their power. It is also important to recognize that the mind is not isolated from the rest of your being. What you think affects how you feel, and how you feel affects what you do. Lust does not only work on your thoughts, it works on your emotions. It makes you feel empty, as though something is missing in your life, as though only indulgence can fill the gap. This emotional manipulation makes the mind even more vulnerable, but by recognizing the emotional pull and understanding that it is rooted in falsehood, you can begin to break its hold. The battlefield of the mind is where victory begins. Temptation is most dangerous when it is unchecked in the early stages, when it is merely a thought or an image that flickers through your mind. The more you cultivate awareness and self-discipline in your thinking, the more you fortify your defenses against. Your mind is a garden, and the seeds you plant today will shape the fruits you harvest tomorrow. What are you planting today? Are you planting the seeds of lust, or are you sowing the seeds of peace, self-control, and wisdom? The choice is yours. The victory is won in the mind, long before it ever manifests in action. If you're ready to break free from the chains of lust once and for all, I've got something that can transform your journey. 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust is a powerful guide that reveals spiritual truths and practical steps to overcome temptation. This isn't just another self-help book, it's a deep dive into the wisdom of Scripture, designed to arm you with the tools to reclaim your mind and soul. If you're serious about change, this is your blueprint. Click the link in the description or pinned comment to get your copy now and start your path to freedom today. 5. The slow poison of permission. Why just once is deadly, and how the lie evolves with a new disguise. The most dangerous lie in the battle against lust is the one that whispers, just this once. It seems innocent enough, doesn't it? Just a momentary indulgence, just a brief glance, just one more time. It doesn't feel like a commitment to destruction, yet that one seemingly harmless decision sets a chain of events into motion that can take you further than you ever intended to go. Permission in small doses often seems harmless, but it's in those moments when you choose to yield, to give in, that the grip of lust tightens just a little more. With every just once, your defenses erode. It's like allowing a crack in a dam. You may think it's just a small leak, but the longer it's ignored, the larger and more dangerous it becomes. What you fail to realize is that just once is a dangerous permission. Lust in its deceptive nature does not just act on the immediate indulgence. It seeks to bind you for the long term. The first indulgence plants a seed, but that seed doesn't remain small. It grows, fueled by the belief that you can control it, that it can remain a temporary pleasure. The truth is, lust does not stay satisfied with just once. The next time it appears, it is stronger, more insistent, more demanding. The more you say just once, the more it becomes a pattern. You start rationalizing it, convincing yourself that you can stop whenever you choose. The truth, however, is that the moment you give in, the power shifts. You may feel the temporary relief, but you also weaken your ability to resist in the future. The next time temptation comes, it will be harder to push away. Lust doesn't just ask for one indulgence, it seeks to establish a foothold in your life, to turn that once into a recurring event, and eventually into an addiction. This is the slow poison of permission. Each small surrender isn't just a temporary escape from desire, it's a long-term loss of control. You tell yourself that just once won't hurt, but with each compromise, you hand over more of your power, more of your mind, and more of your soul. Lust begins to redefine your choices, and soon, you are no longer choosing at all. Over time, this pattern compounds. What started as one small decision becomes a force that governs your behavior, shaping the way you view the world, yourself, and your relationship. What you once thought was under control now has you trapped in a cycle of shame, guilt, and deeper craving. You'll find yourself making excuses, justifying your actions, and continuously letting your boundaries slip. The key here is to recognize that lust is not satisfied with one victory, it's after complete domination. If you want to break free, the just once mentality must be destroyed before it takes root. You need to recognize the danger before it grows, refusing to give permission in the first place. The smallest compromise now can lead to a flood of consequences you never intended to face. This is why just once is not a minor decision. It's the opening of a door that should never have been opened. The path to breaking free is not in trying to control your indulgences, but in refusing to give them a place to begin with. Lust thrives on permission, it lives on compromise. The battle isn't in the moment of indulgence, it's in the decision to never allow it to begin. 6. Replacing the idol. Starving lust by feeding higher desires and building invisible armor. Lust thrives on the emptiness within you, on the need for instant gratification and shallow pleasures. But this hunger can be starved, not by simply resisting it, but by replacing it with something greater, something that nourishes the soul and satisfies your deeper, more meaningful desires. Lust, like any idol, can only hold power over you as long as it remains the focus of your attention and energy. The moment you replace that focus with something higher, something deeper, the idol begins to crumble. The power of higher desires. The key to breaking free from lust is not solely in suppressing your cravings, but in redirecting your energy toward more fulfilling desires. Lust feeds on your longing for intimacy, connection, and significance, but it distorts these desires, presenting them in shallow, temporary forms. True fulfillment comes from desiring something far greater than momentary pleasure, something eternal, something that transcends the flesh. Start by shifting your focus to higher desires, the desire for love, peace, purpose, and connection with your spiritual identity. When you begin to focus on these higher callings, lust begins to lose its grip. It's not about fighting the craving itself, it's about redirecting your energy into something that genuinely satisfies the deep hunger of your soul. If you are constantly feeding your mind and spirit with positive, uplifting desires, the cravings of lust will have less power to control you. The mind and heart need to be filled with something, and if it is not filled with good things, it will naturally seek out distractions and superficial pleasures. Lust thrives in a vacuum. It survives by being your go-to source of satisfaction. But when you actively seek fulfillment in more meaningful, eternal desires, you crowd out the space where lust once resided, building invisible armor. To truly starve lust, you need more than just a shift in desires. You need to fortify your mind, spirit, and body. Lust is not a singular temptation. It is a multifaceted force that works through your thoughts, your habits, and your environment. The armor you build must therefore be invisible, but impenetrable, designed not only to protect you, but to strengthen you. One of the most powerful ways to build this armor is through daily practices of mindfulness, self-discipline, and spiritual connection. This armor is invisible because it doesn't consist of physical barriers or walls. It is made of internal strength and spiritual resilience. Prayer, meditation, deep reflection, and focusing on your true purpose can strengthen this armor. Just as a soldier prepares for battle through training and discipline, you must prepare your mind and spirit through consistent daily reinforcement of your higher desire. Establishing boundaries also plays a significant role in fortifying yourself. Boundaries protect you from situations, people, or behaviors that make you more susceptible to lust. These boundaries create a stronghold of control, ensuring that your mind and heart remain focused on what matters most. The clearer and more steadfast your boundaries are, the less power temptation will have over you. Another essential component of this invisible armor is accountability. Surrounding yourself with a supportive community or individuals who hold you accountable strengthens your resilience. When you have others who understand your struggle and are committed to helping you grow, the fight becomes easier, and the power of lust diminishes. Feeding what truly satisfies the more you feed your higher desires, the more you will build an internal resistance against the lure of lust. This isn't a temporary strategy. It's a lifestyle change that requires sustained effort and commitment. Replacing lust with more meaningful pursuits doesn't happen overnight. It requires persistence, consistency, and patience. But as you continue to nourish your soul with things that matter, you will find that lust's grip loosens, its power diminishes, and you are no longer living for fleeting pleasures, but for something much more lasting. Remember, you can't simply fight lust head-on. You must starve it by replacing it with something greater. The more you focus on your higher desires, the more your internal armor strengthens, and the less influence lust will have over you. Replacing the idol of lust with the higher, purer desires of the heart is the key to lasting freedom. Shame is one of the heaviest burdens the human soul can carry, and when it comes to lust, it often feels overwhelming. The guilt of indulgence, the feeling of being trapped in a cycle of sin, weighs on the spirit, pulling you deeper into despair. But what if shame didn't have to be the end of the story? What if instead of allowing it to define you, you could transform it into a source of strength? The furnace of transformation is where the greatest alchemy occurs. Just as gold is refined by fire, so too are your weaknesses, mistakes, and moments of failure purified through the furnace of shame. When you face the shame of lust and confront the truth about your actions, it can feel like a painful crucible. But this process isn't about condemnation. It's about refinement. Shame is not your identity. It's a catalyst for change. The journey from shame to strength involves allowing yourself to be shaped, to be purified by the lessons of your mistakes, and to rise from the ashes stronger than before. The fallen soul is not beyond redemption. In fact, the very act of falling can be the spark for transformation. Every time you confront your own brokenness and admit your need for healing, you invite grace into your life. This is where true restoration begins. Restoration isn't about perfection. It's about growth. It's about learning from the past, shedding the weight of guilt, and walking forward with the strength you've gained. Shame is not meant to keep you in chains. It's meant to lead you to a deeper understanding of who you are and who you can become. The journey of the fallen yet restored soul is not a straight path, but it is a powerful one. Through the furnace of transformation, you emerge not as a victim of your past, but as a warrior forged by fire, with a heart renewed and a soul empowered to walk in freedom. 8. The freedom beyond hunger. Living in overflow. Choosing eternity over the moment. True freedom is not found in satisfying temporary cravings. It's found in the overflow of a heart aligned with purpose, peace, and fulfillment. Lust offers a momentary escape, a fleeting high, but its promises are empty. Once the craving is satisfied, the hunger returns, stronger than before. The cycle repeats, leaving you emptier each time. But there is a higher path, one that leads to a deeper, more lasting satisfaction. Living in overflow means recognizing that you are not bound by the ever-hungry, ever-demanding desires of the flesh. When you feed your soul with lasting truth, purpose, and spiritual nourishment, your cravings for instant gratification begin to fade. It is in this overflow of fulfillment, when you are grounded in your true identity and connected to something greater, that you find the freedom to say no to lust and yes to a higher calling. Choosing eternity over the fleeting moment is the choice to live with an eternal perspective. Lust operates in the now, pulling you into the momentary, but true freedom invites you to live for the eternal. When you understand that your decisions shape not just the present but your future and your eternal destiny, the false allure of lust begins to lose its grip. You realize that the fleeting pleasure is not worth the eternal consequences. This freedom comes from understanding that you are not empty, and you don't need to fill your soul with momentary fixes. Your life is full, overflowing with purpose, love, and joy that cannot be replaced by anything temporary. When you live in the overflow, the cravings for lust fade away, replaced by a deeper, more profound satisfaction that only comes from walking in the truth of who you are. The battle against lust is not a fleeting struggle. It is a war that requires a deep, unwavering commitment to change. What we've discussed here today is just the beginning. Lust doesn't just target the body, it attacks the very core of who you are, manipulating your desires and robbing you of your peace. It entangles your mind, twists your identity, and whispers empty promises of fulfillment that leave you even more hollow than before. That there's hope. The power to break free from lust isn't found in willpower alone, nor is it in fleeting moments of resistance. It's in the transformation of your heart and mind, the renewal of your desires, and the realignment of your life with something far greater than the temporary satisfaction lust offers. Freedom comes not by fighting each temptation as it arises, but by rebuilding your life from the inside out, living with purpose, choosing higher desires, and walking in the truth of who you are. If you are tired of the cycle, if you are ready to finally break free and step into the life you were meant to live, it's time to take action. And this is where the next step of your journey begins. 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust Before It Destroys You is not just another book. It's a guide, a blueprint to arm you with the spiritual wisdom and practical steps you need to overcome lust for good. It's rooted in powerful biblical truths that will empower you to break free from the chains that have held you captive. If you're serious about overcoming lust, if you're ready to stop being controlled by cravings and to step into a life of true freedom, I urge you to get your hands on this ebook. It's time to choose eternity over the fleeting, to replace the lies with the truth, and to reclaim the power over your desires. Click the link in the video description right now, and let's begin this journey of transformation together. The freedom you've been searching for is within your reach. Take that first step today.